Money. It affects our everyday life. But how do we make more of it? Manage it. And make sure we make the most of our money. Welcome to Money Mindful, a podcast to teach and support you as you learn to manage your money.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Money Mindful podcast. I'm your host, Meaghan Jean Smith. I am a money mindset and life coach for entrepreneurial women. I help you create your money and life goals. All those things that you want to create that you haven't been able to do on your own or that you want support to be able to do, I help you do that. And I give you all the tools that you need and processes so you can make your goals as good as done. And today, I want to give you a little formula for how to get the results that you want. It is simple, it's easy to remember, and I'm going to take you through it on the episode today. But before we do that, I want to let you know that I have a mini training that you can access, and it's on my website, moneymindful.com.au. It is a mini training for how to create your money and life goals. It's free. It is emailed out to you over 3 days. It's 3 short videos. I want you to have it if you don't have it already. You've probably heard me banging on about it on the podcast before. Go and get your hands on that because it's going to give you a process to create your goals. It's going to help you with all that stuff that gets in the way, like the spinning in your head, feeling stuck, not knowing what goal to go after first, not knowing how to actually work out what you have to do to create the goal, like not knowing the how or the obstacles that are in the way to creating that goal, how to overcome them. It addresses all of that in the training. So I want you to have that. Go and get your hands on that. moneymindful.com.au, and there's in the menu bar, it says get the free course. That's how you access that. Okay. So today we're going to talk about the results formula. Bum, bum, bum. Let me take you back to 2019. I joined a little coaching membership and I was introduced to some amazing women, 2 in particular, one who was in Italy and one who was in America. And they worked from home. They helped me every week. And they were living what I thought was the dream. And I wanted that too, right? But at the time, it felt really unreasonable. I was totally in struggle town, in the struggle of working part-time, having young kids, doing the whole mum work juggle, just feeling totally overwhelmed, feeling like I wasn't living the life that I wanted to live. I had goals and dreams that I was aspiring to, and some things I knew I wanted to change, but I didn't even know like what exactly it was or how I was going to do it. But when I was introduced to these women who were coaching me in Australia, they were in Italy and America, right? And they were helping me. I knew I wanted that, right? But it felt really unreasonable to believe that me, a school teacher from Australia with young kids, working part-time, doing the stay-at-home mum work juggle, could possibly work as a life coach from home during school hours. Unreasonable, right? Getting certified with an American company. Unreasonable. And yet, here I am right now talking to you on my podcast that I created while working from home, and I now work as a life coach. I created a profitable business in my first year. I work with clients internationally. I have clients in the currently I have the clients in the US, Canada, and in Australia. And I'm doing exactly what it was that those women who were coaching me were doing, that at the time, back in 2019, I thought that it was completely unreasonable and out of my reach. I had no idea how to create being a life coach or how to create working from home, and it felt so impossible, so unreasonable. And yet here I am doing it. So how did I do it? I want to share that with you now. There's a well-known element to this story that is so simple and so doable. Its simplistic power can often be overlooked. And that, my friends, is practice. Yes, practice. Practice is everything. And as the amazing author Lynn Twist once said, we are always practicing something and we get good at what we practice. So back in 2019, I was always practicing being a struggling mum doing the daily grind. That's what I was getting good at because I was always practicing that. And when I stopped practicing that and started leaning in to practicing my unreasonable goal of working from home during school hours and becoming a life coach, that's when I started to get good at becoming a life coach and working from home. Big goals, your big money and dream goals, will always feel unreasonable when you're first dreaming about them, right? And if they don't feel unreasonable, then your goals probably aren't big enough, right? Like if you want to double your income in 12 months, let's say, that sounds pretty unreasonable, right? I've almost done that this year. I'm just over $10,000 away from doubling my income from last year. What? That's crazy, right? Like even just saying those words to you, it sounds so unreasonable. And yet I've almost done it. I've almost created that. Everything always sounds unreasonable before we learn how to do it. And this relates back to the episode that I released a few weeks back about how the only thing standing in the way between you and your goals is a learnable skill, right? Learnable skills is practice. It's practicing something, learning how to do it. So the results formula here, if you haven't figured it out already from what I've said, it's having an unreasonable goal, right? Or any goal. You don't have to call it unreasonable, but I find any goal worth pursuing often feels unreasonable in the beginning. Would you agree? Having an unreasonable goal plus practice equals results. You are always practicing something. You get good at what you practice. What are you choosing to practice? Choose wisely. So let me break this down for you. When I discovered that there was such a thing as life coaching, I just fell in love with life coaching. I wanted to be a life coach. It was so up my alley. It completely clicked for me and I just knew, oh yeah, this is for me, right? I didn't know the how. It felt unreasonable. I was looking at other women who were life coaches and I was like, whoa, like it just seemed mystical to me. Like, how did they do that? How did they create that? How is that even possible that they work from home on their computers and help people? Right? Like all of it, every aspect of it felt completely unreasonable to me because I'd never done it, right? I'd never practiced being that person. But when I decided to go for my unreasonable goal of being a life coach, like working from home, having a business, that's what I started practicing. Every day I started practicing some aspect of that goal. At first it was practicing how to be a life coach. Like, I went and got certified and I coached a lot of people for free. I did a lot of intensive training on learning how to be a life coach, like constantly practicing and honing my skills and becoming good at being a life coach. And then the next part of that goal that you heard me say is I wanted to have a business. I wanted to be able to work from home. So then I started practicing being a businesswoman. I started practicing showing up and doing business things, right? Like telling people about my business, getting on social media, getting on here on the podcast and telling you, right? Like telling you about what I do and how you can work with me. These were all things that I started practicing. And over time, I've got good at that, right? And that is what has resulted in me living that unreasonable goal, being here, right here with you now, running a business. This is part of my business, producing this podcast, all right? Helping you create your money and life goals. That's part of my business. Most of you who listen to this podcast will probably never work with me, but some of you who are listening, this is like, I'm a perfect fit for you, right? Like, it's just what I'm saying completely resonates with you. And then you come and work with me and I help you create your money and life goals. And then those unreasonable goals that are kicking around in your head right now, they become a reality because you start practicing how to do that and you start taking all the steps towards creating that. This is the results formula. Having an unreasonable goal plus practice equals the result. And if you need proof of that from your own life, look at anything that you do now, like your job or driving a car, for instance. That's a beautiful example. Do you remember when you were a teenager and people could drive places on their own, right? They drove cars and could go places without their parents driving them there or without you having to catch public transport. But remember the first time you got in a car, how unreasonable it felt, like how just it was like, am I ever going to be able to drive a car? Like, it seems so full on, like there's so many things I've got to do. But then you practice and you get lessons from a driving instructor or you practice with your parents or somebody in your community. And before you know it, you become somebody who is a driver, right? And you get your license and you now can drive. You have the result of being somebody who can drive. Whereas before you could do that, you were never practicing being a driver. And so you couldn't drive and it felt totally unreasonable. It's exactly the same with your business goals right now. Last year, at the start of the financial year, for me to think about doubling my income, like having a goal that was more than like double what I earned at the time, felt completely unreasonable. Like, of course it did, because I hadn't done that before. But now I'm so close to doubling my income from last year. And I've done that from practicing being the businesswoman that I want to be, from practicing my marketing skills, from practicing being a business person who learns processes in their business, like learning how to do things in the back end of my business, like technical stuff, right? These are all things that a few years ago, I didn't practice doing any of these things. I didn't practice having a podcast. I didn't practice coaching people. I didn't practice telling people that I'm a life coach. I didn't practice selling. I didn't practice marketing. None of that stuff. And so I didn't create those results. Can you see how that makes total sense? Like, when I say it like this, like anything that you think that you want to create, like expanding your business, right? Like maybe going from having just one small service that you do to having a team of people that work for your business and growing your business in that way, right? Yeah, sure, you probably don't know how to do that. You're not practiced in having a team, but you learn how to do that by doing it, by getting out there and doing it. So this is all you need to do. If you want to get the results of those beautiful, delicious, dreamy goals that you have, set the goal, the unreasonable goal. Of course, it's unreasonable because you haven't done it yet. Then add some practice in there. Practice equals result. That is what is going to get you the result. You have totally got this. This is totally available to you. Okay, so I have coaching spots. I've actually opened up a whole new day of coaching availability because the days that I was available were full. So that's a beautiful thing. I've opened up a new day and I'm taking on new clients in June. We're in May now. I am currently meeting with people, having consultations to see if we're a good fit, because I genuinely want to work with women who I know that I can help, right? I only take on clients that I know for sure I can help you. That's why we meet and we work together for 6 months. So I want to meet you, I want to get to know you, but I want you to also be able to meet me, right? And answer any questions. But, most people who come to a consultation, you already know that you want to work with me, right? Like that's why you come and we nut it out. We check, are we a good fit? And do we get along? Because it's intimate, the coaching relationship. I'd like to invite you, like if you're really resonating with what you have been hearing on the show, you are ready to invest in yourself, you know that you've got to a point where, like, look, we both know that you're a rock star and amazing, but sometimes we need some help, right, to reach our goals. There's obstacles that we haven't been able to overcome on our own, so we get help from a coach. That's me. That's the relationship that we have. So I'd like to invite you to reach out, book a consultation for me. Let's get started in June, right? Like that's just over 6 months till the end of the year. That's what you're signing up for. You're investing in yourself, in your brain, in your business. So by the end of the year, in another 6 months' time, you're not still in the same spot that you are right now. You're actually 6 months down the track with creating these delicious, big, juicy goals that you have. So go and book a consult, and until I get in your ears again next week, have an amazing week. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Money Mindful podcast. For more info, visit moneymindful.com.au. For future episodes, be sure to subscribe. And remember, the information in this podcast is of a general nature only and does not take into account your personal circumstances or goals. Please seek professional advice for your own financial needs. Remember to have fun along the way.